Hello, friends. I'm Kanchan from Akulmach Technologies, and you are welcome to our show. Today, we have a very eminent personality on our show, and she is Amita Sinha. She is a former professor in the Department of Landscape Architecture at University of Illinois, USA, and she has also taught in the Department of Architecture and Regional Planning at IIT Kharagpur, and she's also into humanities and social science department at IIT Gandhinagar. She's also well-known author of Landscape about India, Forms and Meaning, and she's a recipient of Fulbright Nehru Academic and Professional Excellence Award. So welcome to the show, Amita ji. How are you today?
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me to the show.
So, we had been doing great topic like mandala and the rise of architecture using this mandala. And today I am so glad to really discuss about the origin of Varanasi. So I would like to ask you, what is the origin of Varanasi and how it is linked to its geography?
So Varanasi is older than time, as they say. It's beyond time, and there is a origin story which let me share it with you. So here in this collage, which is based on a 19th century painting, we see Shiva holding Varanasi on his trident, and he is Parvati is playing the veena. Ganga is descending from the heavens at the request of uh, um, um, Bhagirathi, and so Varanasi is really associated with Shiva, and it is between two rivers on the banks of the Ganges, of course. Here the Ganga flows from south to north, it changes its course. And the area between the river Varuna on the north and the rivulet Assi on the south is claimed by Varanasi. Now, Varuna is associated with obstructing evil, and Assi with destroying evil. So this is a sacred ground, and it is also called Anandvan. That is how Shiva describes it to Parvati. Anandvan, Anand Kanan, a forest of bliss. And in this drawing, you see many water bodies, kunds, which would have existed in ancient times. And this is where um, hermits, sages came and established their ashrams on the banks of the kunds. So this is, a city which is the abode of Shiva, and it is also a place where one can um, encounter the learned people and learn. It's a city of learning, and it is a place which is full of lingas, a city of thousand lingas, I would say. And these lingas are in many temples and shrines. However, there are other gods also, and we'll see more of that as we go along.
Okay, so actually, this city itself is very, very huge in terms of the feeling of Indians because everything which is pious and which is religious, especially for Hinduism, I think Varanasi plays a vital role. And it is said that gods live here. So I would like to know what is the history of the city.
So, on the banks of the Ganga, and the area where Varuna and Ganga meet, this is the site which has been excavated, and the excavations since the 1940s have proved that the city goes back a long, long time. Certainly goes back to 12th century BC, um, and possibly beyond. And it has been continuously occupied since then. So, it's mentioned in the Mahabharata, in the Upanishads, in the Purana, especially the Kashi Khand of Skanda Purana. And what archaeology tells us is that the continuous habitation of the Rajghat plateau which you see in the slide below, means that it has been very important historically also. So Kashi was one of the 16 Janpadas of ancient times. And we hear about it, during the definitely during the Mauryan times, in which the Magad Janpad rose to prominence, and during the times of Ashok, as Buddhism rose, Ashok himself came here and established a stupa. So the city is also associated with Buddhists, and I think during a brief period of time, when Buddhism was very important, Shiva had actually left Varanasi and had gone to Mount Mandara, and there was a king called King Devodasa who had to be driven out. Now, for Buddhism, Sarnath, where Buddha gave his first sermon, this is a very important node for pilgrimage. And the stupa established by Ashoka is no longer there, but there is a latest stupa, dharmic stupa, that you see in the slide. And there were many viharas, monasteries, and chatyagrahas. In fact, the symbol of India, the capital of India, is actually a Buddhist, an Ashokan capital with the 4 lions on the top of the pillar. The Rajghat Plateau was also inhabited later on by the Gadwala kings. All through the Gupta period, Varanasi continued to be an important city. And by the time we come to the 12th century, the Gadwala rulers had made Varanasi a very important site by building temples there. And the Gadwala rulers used to worship Adikeshav, Vishnu, on the banks of the Ganga on the Varuna river. When the first armies of Muhammad Ghori, led by Qutbuddin Aibak, came, the Gadwala rule ended, and so did the Buddhist site Sarnath, which was also, the viharas were destroyed.
So actually, when we are talking about mandala and the mandala architecture creation in India, when we talk about Hindu architecture as well as Buddhist architecture, so can you please tell us about the Kashi Mandala, which is, I think, very popular feature in Varanasi architecture?
Yes, Varanasi is also known as Kashi, the city of light. The Kashi, from the Sanskrit root Kash, which means light. And mandala, as we know, is a circle. But this circle is actually adjusted to the topography. So here in this diagram, you see the circle on the banks of the Ganga, and this is the Kashi Mandal, or the Kashi Kshetra, which is the sacred ground between Varana and Asi. But the circle, when adjusted to the topographic reality, becomes more like the sector of the whole circle. And here, if you see the mandal, the center is this Madhyameshwar, where the most famous temple of Varanasi is situated, and a line drawn between Madhyameshwar and Delhi Vinayak is actually 5 crores or 17 kilometers. And so this is the area of the Kashi Mandal, 5 crores, where the light always shines. And this is the place which is, as we said before, beyond time. It is a place to be enlightened. Now, the story goes that Brahma and Vishnu, how they came to acknowledge the supremacy of Shiva. So in the 6th century fragment, we see Brahma on his goose flying upwards because a pillar of light appeared, and Vishnu as a boar diving down, and they could not find, the upper or the lower limits of this pillar of light. And so that is how they ended up acknowledging, this is the city of Shiva, this is, Kashi Dham. And when the city was first mapped by James Prinsep in 1822, the inner city area is the Abhimukta, the zone where Shiva never leaves Kashi. The city is never forsaken. And the very center is Vishweshwara temple, which is now visited by millions of people. And in this aerial photograph, you see the Kashi Vishwanath temple. It is actually a temple built 18th century temple built by Queen Ahilyabai of Holkar. The earlier temple was destroyed in the 17th century, and the Gyanvyapi Mosque was built. And before that, the temple of the 12th century was destroyed by the Sultanate armies. But Hindus kept on rebuilding, and so Vishweshwara never really, the site never lost its sanctity, and Vishweshwara never left Kashi, so to speak. And here is the view of Kashi Vishwanath temple, the golden dome, which was given this gold plate by Ranjit Singh, the Sikh ruler, and the spires of the temple built by the Holkar queen.
Okay, so I want to ask you that why Varanasi has become such an important pilgrimage destination? What is so unique about this city?
Well, Kashi Vishwanath, draws millions of pilgrims from all over the world. But the Ganga also draws pilgrims. People come here to bathe in the Ganga on auspicious occasions. People come here to die. Manikarnika Ghat, popularly known as the Burning Ghat, is where Shiva is. This is also known as Mahashamshan, the great Shamshan, the great cremation ground, where if you die, you will achieve moksha. And so thousands come here to spend the last days of their lives in the hospices, and when they die, Shiva whispers the Tarkeshwar mantra, and liberation is assured. Now, the pilgrimage, as pilgrimage site, Varanasi has great sanctity because the Char Dham are here: Badrinath, Dwarka, Puri, and Rameshwaram. The 12 Jyotirlingas are here. The 7 Saptpuris, including Varanasi, are here: Ayodhya, Mathura, Ujjain, Haridwar, Dwarka, and Kanchipuram. So, in a way, Varanasi has gathered the sanctity of all of the sacred sites in India. This is a process of, spatial transposition. All the sacred sites come here, and they add to the sanctity of Varanasi. Pilgrimage has been happening for a very, very long time, certainly since the 13th century. And in this pilgrim map of the 19th century, you see the Kashi Mandal, which is protected by the Ganas and the Bhairvas and the Matrikas. You see Varanasi as a square, with the center as Vishweshwar, and you see, of course, Ganga Ghats lined by temples. The Panchkroshi pilgrimage, the 5 krosh, is circumambulated. So when pilgrims are on the Panchkroshi pilgrimage, they go around the sacred kshetra of the 5. Of the 108 shrines, 5 are most important, and this is where the pilgrims spend about a night each. In Shivratri, they try to complete the pilgrimage in one day and night. Pilgrimage is always effective, but especially so during the Adhik Mas, the intercalary month, the extra month, which comes about every 3 years, when the solar and lunar calendars have to be synchronized. And during Kartik Purnima, during Shivratri, again, pilgrimage is undertaken by millions of people. So bathing in the Ganga, visiting Kashi Vishwanath, going on the pilgrimage, this is what attracts devotees to Varanasi from all over the world.
Yeah, so it was so wonderful to really know about these finer points about the rise of Banaras or Kashi, and of course, how this has become a great uh, pilgrimage point for people to come, especially Buddhist people and Hindu followers of Hindu. So, it was so lovely to talk to you and understand the mandala formation when we talk about the whole city and how it's being created and the stories behind that. So, what is one thing which really reminds you when you really think about the city, Banaras? What comes first in your mind?
I think about the skyline. I see the ghats and I see the temple spires, and this is probably the most famous skyline of India. Yes, and I
Okay.
think about the Ganga, and I think also about visiting, the Jyotirlinga in Kashi Vishwanath temple.
Okay, so it was so wonderful to talk to you and know about this great city, which is one of the ancient city of the world. And we'll be meeting again to discuss more about mandala formation in different architectural and city formation. So till then, bye bye, take care,
Thank you.
thanks.